The moment Adam told me he never loved me, something inside me didn't just break. It shattered into pieces so small, I wondered if I'd ever find them all again. But here's the thing about being destroyed. You get to choose what rises from the ashes. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. Before we dive into this story, I need to know, where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments below. And how are you doing today? Really, I want to know. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that button now because the journey we're about to take together, you won't want to miss a single moment. This is a story about heartbreak, transformation, and a revenge so perfectly crafted it nearly consumed me whole. Let me take you back to the night everything changed. I stood in the rain outside Adam's apartment, mascara running down my cheeks like war paint, my phone clutched in my trembling hand. The video had been posted 3 hours ago. 3 hours, and already 50,000 people had watched me get humiliated. Adam Wolowitz and mystery blonde share passionate kiss at charity gala. That's what the headline said. But it wasn't just any blonde. It was Sophia, my former best friend. And it wasn't just any gala. It was the event where I was supposed to meet him, where we'd planned to announce our engagement. I'd been running late because I was picking up the custom cufflinks I'd had engraved for him. Forever starts tonight. Forever lasted exactly 47 minutes. The time between when he texted me, "Can't wait to see you," and when my phone exploded with messages, links, and screenshots of him with her. But I didn't come here to cry. I came for answers. When he opened the door, he didn't look guilty. He looked annoyed. "Ella, what are you doing here?" His voice was flat, like I was an inconvenience. Like I hadn't spent 3 years building a life around him. "What am I doing here?" My voice cracked, and I hated myself for it. "Adam, the whole world just watched you kiss another woman. What am I doing here?" He sighed, actually sighed, and stepped back to let me in. The apartment smelled like her perfume. That expensive floral scent Sophia always wore. The one she knew I was allergic to. "You want the truth?" he asked, pouring himself a whiskey like we were having a casual conversation. "I never loved you, Ella." "Not really." The room tilted. "What?" "You were comfortable. Safe. My parents loved you. My friends thought we looked good together. But that spark, that thing everyone talks about, I never felt it with you." He took a sip, his eyes meeting mine with something worse than cruelty, indifference. "With Sophia, it's different. It's real." I stood there, frozen, as he continued. "You're a good person, Ella. You'll make someone very happy someday. But that someone isn't me. It never was. 3 years. 3 years of planning our future, of sacrificing my dreams so he could chase his, of making myself smaller so he could feel bigger. And it was all a lie." "Get out," he said softly. "Please. Sophia's coming back soon, and this doesn't have to be harder than it already is." I don't remember leaving. I don't remember the elevator ride or the walk to my car. All I remember is sitting in the parking garage, staring at my reflection in the rearview mirror, and not recognizing the broken woman staring back. That's when the anger came. Not the hot, explosive kind. The cold, calculated kind. The kind that freezes your veins and sharpens your mind into a weapon. Adam Wolowitz thought he could humiliate me and walk away unscathed. He thought I was forgettable, unremarkable, safe. He had no idea who I was about to become. 6 months later, I stood in front of a different mirror. This one was in a luxury apartment in the city, paid for with the money I'd made from the business I built from scratch. The one I'd abandoned my MBA for because Adam said he needed support during his crucial career transition. The woman staring back at me now was unrecognizable. I'd lost 20 pounds, not from heartbreak, but from the intensive training sessions with my personal trainer. My hair, once mousy brown, was now a rich chestnut with golden highlights. I'd learned to dress not for comfort, but for impact. Every outfit was a statement. Every accessory was strategic. But the biggest change wasn't physical. I'd spent 6 months studying Adam. His patterns, his weaknesses, his desires. I knew what restaurant he went to every Thursday night. I knew he'd started therapy after our breakup, guilt probably, though he'd never admit it. I knew that things with Sophia were already fracturing. I could see it in the way she posted fewer photos of them together, in the comments she left on other men's posts. I knew everything. And tonight, Thursday night at Mercato, his favorite Italian restaurant, phase 1 of my plan would begin. I checked my reflection one last time. Red dress fitted perfectly. Confidence I'd earned through blood, sweat, and tears. a smile that promised mystery. Adam Wolowitz broke my heart. Now, I was going to make him fall in love with me all over again. And then I was going to destroy him so completely, he'd spend the rest of his life wondering what hit him. The question that kept me awake at night, the one I couldn't quite answer yet, was simple. Would I be able to walk away when it was done? Or would this revenge consume me before I could finish what I started? I grabbed my clutch and headed for the door. Only one way to find out. Mikado was exactly as I remembered it. Dim lighting, soft jazz, the scent of fresh basil and garlic hanging in the air like a promise. Adam had taken me here on our first anniversary. I'd worn a pale blue dress and felt underdressed the entire night. He'd spent most of dinner on his phone, closing a deal. I should have seen the signs then. Now, I walked through those same doors like I owned the place. The maitre d' looked up, and I watched his eyes widen slightly. Good. That was the reaction I had designed myself to get. Good evening, miss. Do you have a reservation? Table for one, please. Somewhere visible. I smiled, not too warm, not too cold. Perfectly calibrated. I'm meeting someone, but I'd like to surprise them. 6 months ago, I would have apologized for not having a reservation. I would have accepted whatever corner table they offered. The old Ella was always grateful, always accommodating, always invisible. The new Ella? She got what she wanted. Of course. Right this way. He led me to a table near the center of the dining room, exactly where I needed to be. From here, I had a clear view of Adam's usual booth. The corner one by the window where he could see and be seen. He wasn't here yet, but it was only 7:47. He'd arrive at 8:15 exactly. Adam Wolowitz was nothing if not predictable. I ordered a glass of Burlo, expensive, sophisticated. The kind of wine Adam always ordered for me because he said my taste was too sweet. I'd let him order for me, make decisions for me, speak for me. I'd thought it was romantic, the way he took charge. Now I knew it was control. Ella! I looked up, and for a moment, my carefully constructed mask almost slipped. It was James McKay, Adam's college roommate, and the one person from that life I'd actually missed. James had always been kind to me, one of the few who'd reached out after the breakup. I'd ignored his messages. I couldn't risk anyone from Adam's circle knowing what I was planning. James. I stood, and he pulled me into a hug that felt genuine. It's been too long. 6 months. He stepped back, studying my face. You look wow. You look incredible. Thank you. I gestured to the empty seat. Join me. He hesitated, glancing at his watch. I'm actually meeting someone, but I have a few minutes. I can't believe I'm running into you here. How have you been? Really? Here was the thing about James. He actually cared about the answer. Honestly, the best I've ever been. I took a sip of wine, and it wasn't a lie. I'd spent 6 months becoming someone I was proud of. I started my own consulting firm. Small but growing. Turns out I'm actually good at business strategy when I'm not second-guessing every decision. That's amazing, Ella. I always thought you had so much potential. He paused, and something flickered across his face. Guilt, maybe. I'm sorry about what happened. With Adam. The way he... Don't. I kept my voice light. I'm not that person anymore. What happened was the best thing that could have happened to me. It woke me up. James studied me with those sharp eyes that always saw too much. You mean that? I do. And in that moment, I realized part of me actually did. Tell me about you. Still at the law firm. Just made partner. Pride and exhaustion mixed in his voice. It's everything I wanted and nothing like I imagined. Welcome to success. I raised my glass, and he clinked his water against it. We talked for 10 minutes, and it felt like breathing. James had always been easy to talk to, always made me feel seen. When Adam would talk over me at dinner parties, James would circle back, ask me to finish my thought. When Adam would dismiss my opinions, James would probe deeper, genuinely curious. I'd forgotten what it felt like to be treated like an equal. I should let you go, I said, finally checking my phone. 8:12. Adam would be here any minute. But let's actually catch up sometime. Coffee. I'd really like that. He stood, then paused. Ella, I'm glad you're doing well. You deserve it. You always did. After he left, I took a breath and settled back into character. James was a complication I hadn't planned for. A reminder that not everyone in Adam's world had been terrible. That I'd lost good people when I lost him. But I couldn't think about that now. 8:15, the door opened. And there he was. Adam Wolowitz walked into Mercado like he walked into every room. Confident, commanding, completely unaware that anyone else might matter more than him. He wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than my old rent. His hair was perfectly styled, his expression carefully neutral. Sophia wasn't with him. Interesting. He made his way to his usual booth, and I watched him from behind my wine glass, studying him like prey. This was the man I'd loved. The man who'd made me believe I wasn't enough. The man who'd humiliated me in front of the world and felt nothing. He looked exactly the same, but I'd changed everything. I waited. Timing was crucial. He needed to settle in, order his drink, relax. He needed to be in his comfort zone before I shattered it. 15 minutes later, I stood, smoothed down my dress, and walked toward his table. I didn't approach directly. Instead, I took a route that would put me in his peripheral vision, that would make him look up at exactly the right moment. Every step was choreographed, every movement designed to draw his eye. "Excuse me," I said to a waiter, my voice carrying just enough. "Could you recommend the sea base or the osso buco?" The waiter, bless him, took his time answering. And in that time, I felt it, Adam's gaze landing on me. I didn't turn. Not yet. I let him look. Let him wonder. Let him try to place why I seemed familiar, but different, like a song he couldn't quite name. Then, as if I just noticed someone watching, I glanced over. Our eyes met. I watched the recognition hit him in stages. First confusion, then shock, then something else, something I'd been counting on. Interest. I gave him the smallest smile, barely there, like a secret, and turned back to the waiter. "I'll take the sea base, thank you." I walked back to my table without looking at Adam again. I could feel his eyes following me, could practically hear the wheels turning in his head. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Ella, is that you?" He'd kept my number. Interesting. We'll see. I stepped past him, close enough that my shoulder brushed his arm. "Good night, Adam." I walked out of that restaurant without looking back, even though every instinct screamed to turn around and see his face. Outside, I made it exactly 2 blocks before I had to stop, lean against a building, and catch my breath. My hands were shaking. Seeing him up close, hearing his voice, smelling that cologne, it brought everything back. The love I'd felt, the trust I'd given, the devastation when it all imploded. My phone buzzed. "Adam, I can't stop thinking about you. I haven't been able to stop for 6 months." I stared at the message, and something cold and sharp twisted in my chest. Perfect. Exactly what I needed him to feel. Me. Some thoughts are better left alone. "Adam, not this one. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. I promise I'll make it worth your time." I didn't respond. Instead, I called the one person who knew what I was really doing. "Riley." My voice cracked slightly when my sister answered. It started. "Oh, honey." Riley Martinez had been my rock through everything. She was the only person who knew about the plan, the only one who understood why I needed this. "How do you feel?" "Powerful," I said. "And terrified. And like I might be making a huge mistake. Those aren't mutually exclusive." I heard her moving around her apartment, probably making tea like she always did when we had serious talks. Did he take the bait? Completely. He wants dinner tomorrow night. And you're going to say yes. It wasn't a question. Riley knew me too well. I have to. I started walking again, my heels clicking against the pavement. This is what I've been working toward. 6 months of planning. I can't back out now. "You can," she said gently. "You can always back out. This revenge thing, Ella. I supported it because I saw what he did to you. But if it's going to destroy you too, it won't." I said it with more confidence than I felt. "I know what I'm doing. Do you? Because from where I'm sitting, you're about to deliberately spend time with the man who broke your heart, pretend to fall for him again, and somehow not actually fall for him again. That's a really thin line to walk." She was right. Of course she was right. Riley was always right about these things. "I'll be careful," I promised. "That's not the same as being safe." She sighed. "Look, I love you, and I'm here for whatever you need. But please just remember who you are now. Don't let him make you forget." After we hung up, I stood on the street corner and let myself have one moment of doubt. One moment to consider walking away, letting the past stay buried, moving forward instead of backward. Then I remembered his face when he said he never loved me. The casual cruelty. The complete dismissal of 3 years of my life. No. I pulled out my phone and typed, "All right." Tomorrow at 8. But Adam, this doesn't mean anything. His response came immediately. It means everything to me. I'll prove it. I smiled in the darkness, and this time it was genuine. Let the games begin. Because Adam Wolowitz was about to learn exactly what it felt like to love someone who could never love you back. Drop a love in the comments if you're Team Ella all the way. And tell me, do you think she can actually pull this off without getting hurt? The restaurant Adam chose was called Lumiere, and of course it was perfect. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, soft piano music, tables spaced far enough apart that every conversation felt private. It was the kind of place you took someone you wanted to impress. I arrived 15 minutes late on purpose, wearing a black dress that was somehow both elegant and devastating. I'd learned that timing and presentation were everything in psychological warfare. Adam stood when he saw me, and I didn't miss the way his breath caught. Good. You came, he said, like he'd been worried I wouldn't. I'm a woman of my word. I let him pull out my chair, mainly because refusing would have shown I cared. Unlike some people. He winced but recovered quickly, sitting across from me. I deserve that. You deserve a lot more than that, but I'm trying to be civil. I accepted the wine menu from the sommelier. I'll have the Chateau Margaux 2015. Adam's eyes widened slightly. That wine was $400 a bottle. The old Ella would never have ordered it, would have felt guilty about the expense, would have deferred to him. Excellent choice, the sommelier said. And for you, sir? I'll have the same. Adam's voice was tight. After the sommelier left, Adam leaned forward. You've changed more than your appearance. You expected me to stay the same person you destroyed. I met his gaze without flinching. That would be insane, Adam. People adapt or they die. I chose to adapt. I didn't destroy you. You're sitting here, stronger than ever. Don't. My voice cut through his attempt at revisionism. Don't try to rewrite history. You shattered me. The fact that I put myself back together doesn't absolve you of breaking me in the first place. Silence fell between us, heavy and uncomfortable. I could see him struggling, trying to find the right words. This was new for him, actually having to work for something he wanted. You're right, he said finally. I was cruel, heartless. I took you for granted, and then threw you away like you meant nothing. And the worst part is, you meant everything. I just didn't realize it until you were gone. It was a good speech. Well practiced, probably. But I needed to know if there was any truth to it. If I meant everything, why did you do it? Why Sophia? I let genuine curiosity color my voice. This was a question I genuinely wanted answered for 6 months. Adam ran a hand through his hair, a gesture I remembered from every difficult conversation we'd ever had. Sophia was a fantasy. Beautiful, exciting, completely wrong for me. She represented everything I thought I wanted. Someone who didn't need me, who wouldn't tie me down. He laughed bitterly. Turns out, that gets old really fast when you realize she doesn't actually care about you either. So you want me back because the grass wasn't greener? I raised an eyebrow. That's not exactly flattering, Adam. I didn't respond. Not yet. Instead, I took a photo of my wine glass against the candlelight and posted it to my Instagram story. The one I'd carefully curated over the past 6 months. The one that showed a life of success, adventure, and absolute independence. The one I knew he'd been watching. Another buzz. You look different. Still, I waited. Made him sweat. Made him wonder if I'd even noticed him. Finally, after my food arrived and I'd taken the first bite, I typed, "People change, Adam. Some of us grow." I hit send and set my phone face down on the table. Then I did something I never could have done 6 months ago. I enjoyed my meal. Really enjoyed it. Because whatever happened next, whatever game we were about to play, I was in control now. And Adam Wolowitz had no idea what was coming. I was halfway through my sea base when he appeared at my table. Ella. His voice was different than I remembered, uncertain, almost vulnerable. Can I sit? I looked up slowly, fork poised midair, and let the silence stretch. In the old days, I would have immediately said yes, moved my things, made room for him like I always made room for him in every aspect of my life. Now, I took a bite of fish, chewed thoughtfully, and considered him like a stranger asking for directions. I'm almost finished, I said finally. Just 5 minutes. He was already pulling out the chair, assuming the answer. Some habits died hard. Please. I set down my fork and leaned back, crossing my legs. 5 minutes. He sat, and I watched him try not to stare. His eyes kept flickering over me. The dress, the hair, the way I held myself. I was a puzzle he couldn't solve, a question with no easy answer. You look, he started. Different, I finished. You said that already. A flash of irritation crossed his face. Adam didn't like being interrupted. But he caught himself, smoothed his expression into something approximating charm. I was going to say beautiful. You always were, but now there's something else. Confidence, I supplied. Self-worth. The kind of things you find when you stop letting other people define you. Direct hit. I saw it land in the tightness around his eyes. Ella, about what happened. 6 months ago? I picked up my wine glass, swirled it. You mean when you told me you never loved me? Or when you humiliated me in front of 50,000 people? Which part specifically? I handled it badly. He leaned forward, and I recognized this move. The sincere eye contact, the slightly pained expression. He'd used it when he forgot my birthday, when he canceled our vacation for a work trip, when he made me feel small and convinced me it was my fault. I was confused, scared of commitment. Sophia and I, it was a mistake. It's already over. I know. I said it casually, like I might comment on the weather. His eyes widened. You know, I pay attention, Adam. She stopped posting about you 5 weeks ago. And you've been coming here alone for the past month. Every Thursday. Same booth. Same wine. Some things never change. He blinked, processing. You've been watching me? No. I leaned forward now, meeting his gaze head on. I've been living my life. You just happen to still exist in the world. And sometimes our circles overlap. The difference is, you don't matter to me anymore. It was a lie, the biggest one I'd told yet. He mattered more than anything right now, because revenge requires obsession. But he didn't need to know that. I don't believe that. His voice dropped, intimate. I don't believe you stopped caring just like that. You're right. I smiled, and I made sure it didn't reach my eyes. It wasn't just like that. It took work, therapy, a lot of crying. Some very poor decisions involving tequila and a tattoo artist. But eventually, I realized something. What? That you did me a favor. I signaled for the check. You showed me exactly who I was when I wasn't busy trying to be who you wanted. Turns out, I like her better. The waiter brought the check, and I handed him my black card. The one from the business account I'd built without anyone's help. Adam's eyes tracked the movement. Let me get that, he said reflexively. I've got it. I signed without looking at the total. I can afford my own meals now. Funny how that works when you're not financially supporting someone else's dreams. That landed too. Good. He sat back, studying me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Have dinner with me. Tomorrow night. Why would I do that? Because... He paused, and for the first time he looked genuinely lost. Because I made the biggest mistake of my life, and I need to make it right. You can't. I stood, gathering my clutch. Some things once broken stay broken. Ella, wait. He stood too, blocking my path slightly. We were close now, closer than we'd been in half a year. I could smell his cologne. The expensive one I used to love, the one that used to mean home. I know I don't deserve a second chance. But I'm asking anyway. One dinner. Let me apologize properly. This was it. The moment I'd planned for. I needed to say yes, but I couldn't make it easy. The chase had to feel real. He had to believe he was winning me back through sheer determination. I'll think about it, I said finally. That's all I'm asking. Relief flooded his face, and I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Can I have your new number? I noticed you changed it. You noticed? I raised an eyebrow. Were you trying to call? He had the grace to look embarrassed. A few times. More than a few. I recited the digits slowly, making him put them in his phone right there. I needed to see that he did it, needed to confirm I was back in his contacts, back in his sphere. Tomorrow night, he said. I'll text you the details. Somewhere special. Somewhere that doesn't have all these memories. No. He reached across the table, stopping just short of touching my hand. I want you back because I finally understand what I lost. You loved me, really loved me. You saw my flaws and stayed anyway. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. And I repaid that by humiliating you. The sommelier returned with our wine, and the interruption gave me time to compose myself. Because here was the terrible truth. Part of what he was saying was real. I had loved him like that. Completely. Foolishly. Tell me about your business, he said after we'd tasted the wine. James mentioned you started a consulting firm. I stiffened. You talked to James about me? He brought you up. Adam shifted uncomfortably. Last week. He said he ran into you, that you looked happy. I think he was trying to make me feel like shit about what I did. Did it work? I haven't slept properly in 6 months, Ella. So yes, it worked. I studied him over the rim of my glass. He did look tired. Shadows under his eyes, a tightness in his jaw that hadn't been there before. Good. Let him suffer a fraction of what I had. The business is called Meridian Strategy, I said finally, deciding to give him something. I focus on helping companies restructure after major setbacks or changes. Turns out, rebuilding yourself teaches you a lot about rebuilding organizations. That's brilliant. And he sounded genuinely impressed. You always had that mind for systems and strategy. I was an idiot for not encouraging you to pursue it. Yes, I agreed simply. You were. Our food arrived, pan-seared scallops for me, steak for him. We ate in silence for a moment, and I could feel him watching me, trying to figure out how to break through my walls. Do you remember our first date? He asked suddenly. I did. Of course I did. Every painful, beautiful detail. The art gallery, I said. You pretended to know about abstract expressionism, and I pretended not to notice you were making it all up. He laughed, and the sound was so familiar it hurt. I was so nervous. You were so smart, so genuine. I thought there was no way you'd want a second date with me. But I did. You did. His expression softened. And you kept saying yes, date after date, year after year. Even when I didn't deserve it. Especially when you didn't deserve it. I corrected. Ella. He set down his fork, his voice dropping. I know I can't undo what I did. But I'm asking for a chance to prove I've changed too. That I can be the man you deserved all along. This was it. The moment where I could seal the deal or walk away. I let the silence stretch, watching him squirm, before I spoke. One chance, I said softly. But Adam, if you hurt me again, there won't be a third time. I won't survive it and I won't forgive it. The lie tasted bitter but necessary. I wasn't giving him a chance to love me. I was giving him enough rope to hang himself. Relief and something that looked like genuine emotion flooded his face. I won't. I swear, Ella. I won't waste this. My phone buzzed on the table. A text from James. Hey, are you free for that coffee tomorrow? I need advice on a case, and you're the most strategic person I know. I felt Adam's eyes on my screen before I could flip the phone over. James, he said flatly. He wants to meet for coffee. I kept my voice neutral. He needs business advice. James. Adam's jaw tightened. Of course. Is that a problem? No. But his tone said yes. It's just, he's been different around me since we broke up. Colder. Like he blames me. He should. Everyone should. I took a sip of wine. But James is a good person, Adam. One of the few I miss from that part of my life. I'm not going to stop being his friend because it makes you uncomfortable. Adam's knuckles whitened around his fork, and I saw it. That flash of possessiveness, that need to control. It was still there, buried under the apologies and promises. Perfect. You're right, he forced out. I don't have a right to an opinion on who you see. No, I agreed. You don't. The rest of the dinner was a careful dance. He told me about work, about his parents, who apparently asked about me constantly, about how empty his apartment felt. I gave him carefully curated pieces of my new life. Enough to seem honest, not enough to be vulnerable. When the check came, he grabbed it before I could. Please, he said. Let me do this. I let him. It was a small concession, one that would make him feel like he was making progress. Outside the restaurant, the night air was cool against my skin. Adam walked me to my car, a sleek Audi I'd leased as a symbol of my success. Nice car, he said. It drives well. I unlocked it, but before I could get in, he stepped closer. Ella. His voice was rough. Can I see you again? Soon. I looked up at him, and for a moment, just a moment, I let myself remember what it felt like to love him, to trust him, to believe in us. Then I remembered what came after. Saturday, I said. There's a charity gala. My company is sponsoring a table. Come as my date. His face lit up. Really? Really? I smiled, and this time I let it be almost warm. But Adam, we're taking this slow. I need to be able to trust you again, and that takes time. I'll wait. He moved even closer, and I could feel the heat of him, smell that cologne. However long it takes. He leaned in, clearly intending to kiss me, and I turned my head at the last second so his lips brushed my cheek instead. Slow. I reminded him, even as my heart pounded. Good night, Adam. I got in my car and drove away, watching him in my rearview mirror. He stood there until I turned the corner, and something about his silhouette, alone under the streetlight, made my chest ache. I called Riley the moment I was clear. I did it, I said. He's hooked. And she knew me too well. How are you? I pulled over into a parking lot and pressed my forehead against the steering wheel. Riley, I almost kissed him. He leaned in, and for a second I wanted to. Not as part of the plan. Just wanted to. Oh, honey, I'm losing control, I whispered. And we're just getting started. Then maybe it's time to stop. I can't. I straightened up, catching my reflection in the mirror. My lipstick was perfect, my hair exactly as I'd styled it. On the outside, I was flawless. Inside, I was unraveling. Not yet. Not when I'm this close. Close to what? Revenge? Or close to falling for him again? I didn't have an answer. And that terrified me more than anything. This is getting complicated, isn't it? What do you think? Is Ella playing with fire? Comment stop if you think she should quit now, or Geo if she should see it through. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The charity gala was held at the Grand Meridian Hotel, all crystal chandeliers and champagne fountains. I'd spent 3 hours getting ready. Hair swept into an elegant updo, makeup dramatic but refined, and an emerald green dress that cost more than my entire wardrobe from a year ago. I looked like success. I looked like power. I looked like someone Adam Wolowitz would regret losing. He arrived at my apartment to pick me up, and when I opened the door, his eyes went wide. Ella. He breathed my name like a prayer. You're stunning. Thank you. I grabbed my clutch, keeping things moving. If I stayed in that doorway too long, if I let him look at me like that for another second, I might forget why we were really here. In the car, he'd hired a driver, trying to impress me. He couldn't stop glancing over. I can't believe I get to walk in there with you tonight. It's just a gala, Adam. No. He shifted closer. It's more than that. It's you, giving me a chance to be worthy of you. That's everything. I should have felt triumphant. This was exactly what I wanted, him falling, hard and fast. But instead, I felt something uncomfortable twist in my stomach. The gala was already in full swing when we arrived. I'd invited several of my new clients, people who'd come to respect Meridian strategy, who saw me as someone to take seriously. This was my world now, and bringing Adam into it felt like letting a fox into the henhouse. Ella, Marcus Chun, the CEO of a tech startup I'd helped restructure, waved us over. You look incredible. And you brought a date. I thought you were married to your work. Marcus, this is Adam Wolowitz. Adam, Marcus Chun. They shook hands, and I watched Adam size up Marcus. Younger, successful, clearly impressed by me. The jealousy was instant. Ella saved my company, Marcus said, oblivious to the tension. 6 months ago, we were hemorrhaging money. Now we're profitable and expanding. She's a miracle worker. She is, Adam agreed tightly. We made our rounds, and I introduced Adam to each person as simply a friend. I watched the word sting every time, watched him try to hide his disappointment. This was part of the plan. Keep him uncertain, keep him working for more. But then James arrived. He looked striking in his tuxedo, confident and at ease. When he spotted me, his face lit up, and he crossed the room with purpose. Ella. He pulled me into a hug that lasted a beat too long to be merely friendly. You look absolutely breathtaking. James. I smiled, genuinely happy to see him. I didn't know you were coming. Last-minute invitation from one of the board members. His eyes slid to Adam, and something cold entered his expression. Adam. Didn't expect to see you here. Ella invited me. Adam's hand found the small of my back, possessive. We're here together. Are you? James looked at me, concern evident in his eyes. Ella, can I talk to you for a moment? Privately. We're in the middle of. Adam started. It's fine. I stepped away from Adam's touch. I'll be right back. James led me to a quiet corner near the balcony doors. The concern on his face had deepened into something like distress. What are you doing? He asked quietly. I don't know what you mean. Yes, you do. He glanced back at Adam, who was watching us with barely concealed irritation. You're with him again. After everything he did to you. I'm not with him, I corrected. We're talking, seeing if there's anything worth salvaging. There isn't. James's voice was harsh, more emotion than I'd ever heard from him. Ella, he destroyed you. I watched it happen. I watched you shrink yourself for years trying to make him happy, and then I watched him throw you away like garbage. Why would you give him another chance? Because I'm not really giving him one, I wanted to say. Because this is all part of my plan to make him hurt the way he hurt me. But I couldn't tell James that. He wouldn't understand. He'd try to talk me out of it. Maybe people can change, I said instead. People like Adam don't change. They just get better at hiding who they really are. He stepped closer, his voice dropping. You deserve so much more than someone who has to lose you to realize your worth. James, I should have said something before. He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. When you were together, I should have told you that you deserved better. That he didn't appreciate you. That every time he dismissed you or talked over you or made you feel small, it made me furious. I stared at him, something shifting in the air between us. Why didn't you? Because you seemed happy. Or I told myself you were happy. And he was my friend, and you were his girlfriend, and crossing that line felt. He shook his head. It felt impossible. What line? My heart was beating too fast. Ella. James looked at me with an intensity that made my breath catch. I've been in love with you for 3 years. Since the night Adam brought you to that dinner party, and you argued with me about corporate ethics for 2 hours. Since you laughed at my terrible jokes and actually listened when I talked. Since I realized you were the most brilliant, kind, genuine person I'd ever met, and you were completely wasted on my best friend. The world tilted. James McKay was in love with me. Had been this whole time. While I was drowning in my relationship with Adam, while I was making myself smaller, while I was breaking, James had been watching, wanting, waiting. I can't do this right now, I whispered. I know the timing is terrible. But seeing you with him again, watching you give him another chance, his jaw clenched. I can't stay silent anymore. You need to know that there are people who have always seen your value, who never needed to lose you to realize how extraordinary you are. James, Ella. Adam's voice cut through the moment. He stood a few feet away, his expression thunderous. Is everything okay? We're fine, James said coldly. I wasn't asking you. Adam's eyes never left me. Ella. This was spiraling out of control. My carefully constructed plan, my revenge plot. It was all getting tangled up with real feelings, real people, real consequences. I need some air, I said, and pushed past both of them onto the balcony. The cool night air hit my face, but it didn't clear my head. If anything, the chaos in my mind only intensified. James loved me, had loved me for years. Adam wanted me back, was falling for me exactly as I'd planned. And I didn't know what I felt anymore. Revenge had seemed so simple when it was theoretical. Make Adam fall in love, then break his heart. Justice. Closure. Healing. But now James was a factor I hadn't planned for. A complication that felt less like an obstacle and more like possibility. Ella. Adam had followed me out. Of course he had. What did James say to you? Nothing. Don't lie to me. His voice was sharp. I saw your face. Something happened. You don't get to demand answers from me, Adam. I turned to face him, my emotions raw and exposed. You don't get to act possessive when you're the one who threw me away. I know. He stepped closer, his expression desperate. I know I don't have the right. But Ella, please. Tell me what's happening. Tell me if I'm losing you before I even get you back. And there it was, the vulnerability I'd been working toward. Adam Wolowitz, terrified of losing me, of being the one left behind. This should have felt like victory. Instead, it felt hollow. James told me he has feelings for me, I said, watching Adam's face crumble. That he has for years. Adam's jaw worked. And I don't know what to do with that information. It was the most honest thing I'd said all night. I don't know what to do with any of this. Do you have feelings for him? Did I? I cared about James, enjoyed his company, felt seen by him in ways I'd never felt seen by Adam. But was that love? Or was it just the appeal of someone who'd never hurt me? I don't know, I whispered. Adam's hands came up to frame my face, gentle despite the desperation in his eyes. I love you, Ella. I know I'm late saying it. I know I should have said it every day for 3 years, but I'm saying it now. I love you. Choose me. Please. And suddenly I was crying. Real tears, not the calculated kind. Because this moment, this was supposed to be my triumph. Adam Wolowitz, begging for my love, exactly where I wanted him. But all I felt was confusion and pain and the crushing weight of my own deception. I need time, I managed. I need to think. How much time? I don't know. I pulled away from his touch. I'm sorry, I can't do this tonight. I need to go. I left him standing on that balcony, left the gala entirely, and called a car to take me home. My phone exploded with messages, from Adam, from James, from Riley who'd somehow heard something had happened. But I ignored them all. Because for the first time since this began, I realized something terrifying. I had no idea who I was anymore. Was I the woman seeking revenge? The woman James loved? The woman Adam wanted back? Or was I still just the broken girl from 6 months ago, playing dress-up in someone else's life? Everything just changed. Drop your honest thoughts below. Team Adam or Team James? Or is Ella better off alone? I didn't leave my apartment for 2 days. Riley came over on Sunday morning, armed with coffee and pastries, and found me on the couch in the same sweatpants I'd been wearing since the gala. My phone sat on the coffee table, screen down, buzzing constantly with messages I refused to read. Okay. She set down the coffee and sat beside me. Talk. I can't do this anymore. My voice was hoarse from crying. The revenge thing, the plan, I can't. I thought I could manipulate him, make him fall in love, and walk away untouched. But Riley, I'm drowning. What happened at the gala? I told her everything. James's confession. Adam's declaration. The moment on the balcony when I realized I had no idea who I was anymore. And now? Riley asked gently. Now I have 2 men saying they love me, and I can't figure out if either of them actually does, or if they just love the version of me I've created. I pulled my knees to my chest. James says he's loved me for 3 years, but he never said anything. He watched me suffer and stayed silent. Is that love? Maybe he thought he was respecting your relationship. Or maybe he's just saying what he thinks I want to hear now that I'm available. I shook my head. And Adam, he says he loves me, but is it really me? Or is it the challenge? The mystery of who I've become? Riley was quiet for a moment. What do you want, Ella? Forget the revenge. Forget both of them. What do you actually want? I don't know anymore. And that was the most terrifying truth of all. I started this because I wanted him to hurt the way he hurt me. But somewhere along the way, I lost the plot. I lost myself. My phone buzzed again. Riley picked it up, glanced at the screen. It's Adam. He's called 17 times today. Don't answer it. And James has texted 12 times. She set the phone back down. Ella, you're going to have to face them eventually. I know. I buried my face in my hands. I just need to figure out what I'm going to say first. But I didn't get the chance to figure it out on my own terms. That afternoon, someone knocked on my door. Insistent, urgent. Riley looked through the peephole and turned back to me, her expression grim. It's Adam. And he doesn't look like he's leaving. My stomach dropped. I can't. Ella, please. Adam's voice came through the door, raw and desperate. I know you're in there. I just need 5 minutes. Please. Riley looked at me, a question in her eyes. I nodded slowly, and she opened the door. Adam looked terrible. His hair was disheveled, his eyes red-rimmed and wild. He still wore the suit from the gala, wrinkled now, like he hadn't changed since Friday night. You look like hell, I said. I feel like it. He stepped inside, and Riley quietly excused herself to my bedroom. You haven't answered any of my calls. I needed space. Space. He laughed bitterly. Ella, you disappeared. You left me on that balcony and vanished. Do you have any idea what that did to me? Welcome to the club. The words came out sharper than I intended. Now you know what it feels like. He flinched. Is that what this is? Revenge? The question hung in the air like a grenade with the pin pulled. What? My voice came out strangled. This whole thing, the transformation, letting me back in, making me fall in love with you again. His eyes were searching mine, desperate for me to deny it. Is this payback for what I did to you? I should have lied, should have denied it immediately. But I hesitated for just a second too long, and that second told him everything. Oh my God. He stepped back like I'd slapped him. Oh my God, it is. This whole time you've been playing me. Adam. No. His voice broke. No, let me finish. I poured my heart out to you. I told you I loved you. I got down on my knees and begged for another chance, and all of it was you setting me up to hurt me. You're the one who hurt me first. The words exploded out of me. You told me you never loved me. You humiliated me in front of the world. You took 3 years of my life and threw them away like garbage. So yes, I wanted you to feel what that was like. I wanted you to understand what you did to me. So you got what you wanted. His face was pale, his jaw clenched. Congratulations, Ella. You destroyed me. I hope it was worth it. It wasn't. The admission ripped out of me. It wasn't worth any of this. I thought revenge would make me feel whole again, but all it's done is make me hate myself. At least we have that in common. He moved toward the door, and panic seized my chest. Wait. I grabbed his arm. Adam, please. I'm sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I'm so sorry. He looked down at my hand on his arm, then back at my face. Are you? Or is this part of the plan too? Keep me guessing, keep me hoping, until you can twist the knife one more time. It's not. But I couldn't finish. Because how could he trust anything I said now? How could anyone? I loved you, Ella. The real you, not some revenge fantasy. His voice was quiet now, defeated. But I guess I never really knew who you were, did I? Maybe you don't either. He left, and the sound of the door closing felt like a coffin lid slamming shut. Riley emerged from the bedroom, her face full of sympathy. Honey, don't. I held up a hand. Just don't. But she ignored me, pulling me into a hug as I collapsed against her. It's going to be okay. How? I sobbed into her shoulder. How is any of this going to be okay? I don't know yet, but we'll figure it out. My phone rang. James this time. Riley looked at me, and I shook my head. I couldn't deal with him too. Not now. Not when I'd just destroyed everything with Adam. But James didn't take silence for an answer. 10 minutes later, he was at my door too. What happened? He demanded the moment I opened it. Adam just showed up at my office looking like death. He said you admitted to using him, to planning some kind of revenge plot from the beginning. James, I can't do this right now. Did you use me too? His voice was hard, accusatory. Was the coffee, the advice, the friendship? Was all of that just you trying to make him jealous? No. James, you're different. Am I? He stepped closer, and I could see the hurt in his eyes. Or am I just another piece on your chessboard? Tell me the truth, Ella. Did you know how I felt about you and use it to your advantage? I didn't know, but even as I said it, I wondered if that was true. Had I seen the way he looked at me, the way he always made time for me, and subconsciously used it? Had I been manipulating everyone, even people who genuinely cared about me? I can't tell what's real with you anymore. James shook his head. I thought I knew you, but maybe I was in love with someone who never really existed. That's not fair, isn't it? You spent months creating a fake persona, planning an elaborate revenge scheme, lying to everyone around you. Who's the real Ella Martinez? Because I'm starting to think even you don't know. He left too, and this time I didn't try to stop him. I stood in my empty apartment, surrounded by the evidence of my success. The expensive furniture, the designer clothes, the business cards for a company I'd built from nothing. I'd transformed myself completely, made myself into someone powerful and untouchable. But I'd forgotten one crucial thing. Transformation only works if you know who you're becoming. And I'd been so focused on who I wasn't anymore that I'd never stopped to figure out who I actually was. I picked up my phone and scrolled through my contacts until I found the one person who might still talk to me. The one person who'd known me before any of this, who'd loved me without agenda or complication. It rang 4 times before she answered. Ella. My mother's voice was cautious. We hadn't spoken since the breakup. I'd been too ashamed, too broken. Sweetheart, is that you? Mom. My voice cracked. I think I made a terrible mistake. Come home, she said immediately. Whatever it is, come home. We'll figure it out together. And for the first time in 6 months, I did something I'd been avoiding. I admitted I needed help. Ella has officially hit rock bottom. What would you do in her position now? Comment below. And if you're still with me on this emotional roller coaster, make sure you're subscribed. My childhood home smelled like vanilla and cinnamon, the scent of my mother's candles burning in every room. I stood in the doorway with my overnight bag, feeling like a little girl again, lost, scared, needing comfort. Come here, baby. Mom pulled me into her arms, and I broke completely. She held me while I sobbed, stroking my hair the way she had when I was young and the world felt too big. I've got you. I've always got you. Dad appeared in the hallway, his face creased with concern. He didn't say anything, just wrapped both of us in his arms. For the first time in months, I felt safe. We sat in the kitchen, my mom's command center, where every family crisis had been solved over tea and honesty. She poured 3 cups while I told them everything. The heartbreak, the transformation, the revenge plot, Adam's discovery. James's confession. All of it. When I finished, the silence was heavy. Well, Dad said finally, you certainly inherited my tendency for overcomplicated solutions. Despite everything, I laughed. It came out wet and broken, but it was real. Ella, Mom reached across the table, taking my hand. Can I ask you something? I nodded. Who do you want to be? I don't understand. Not who you were with Adam. Not who you became for revenge. Not who James thinks you are or who your clients see. She squeezed my hand. Strip all of that away. Who is Ella Martinez when no one is watching? I opened my mouth to answer and realized I had no idea. I don't know anymore, I whispered. Then that's where we start. She smiled gently. You can't build a life on revenge or transformation or proving something to anyone. You have to build it on truth. Your truth. What if I don't like who I really am? Then you get to decide who you want to become. But this time, you do it for yourself. Not to hurt someone else. Not to prove you're over someone. Just for you. I spent 3 days at home. 3 days of sleeping in my childhood bed, eating Mom's cooking, talking through everything with the 2 people who loved me unconditionally. Slowly, the fog began to lift. On the 3rd morning, I sat in the backyard with my journal, something I hadn't touched since the breakup. I wrote without filter, without planning, just letting everything pour out. I am Ella Martinez. I am good at business strategy because I see patterns others miss. I love art galleries and terrible rom-coms and coffee that's too sweet. I am kind, sometimes to my own detriment. I am capable of cruelty when I'm hurt. I am flawed and human and still learning. I am not defined by who loves me or who left me. I am enough, exactly as I am. Writing those words, I felt something shift inside me. Not healing, not yet, but the beginning of it. The first small crack letting light back in. Riley called that afternoon. How are you? Better. Not fixed, but better. I watched birds circle the oak tree in the yard. I need to make this right, Riley. What I did to Adam, to James, I can't take it back, but I need to at least try to apologize properly. Are you sure you're ready? No, but I need to do it anyway. I drove back to the city that evening. My apartment felt different somehow. Less like a trophy and more like just a space. I spent the night drafting 2 letters, writing and rewriting until the words felt true. The next morning, I delivered Adam's first. His assistant looked surprised to see me. Ms. Martinez, Mr. Wolowitz didn't mention you'd be stopping by. He doesn't know. Could you give him this? I handed her the envelope. Tell him he doesn't have to read it if he doesn't want to. But I needed to write it. I left before she could respond, before my courage could fail. James's office was across town. My hands shook as I knocked on his door. Come in. His voice was professional, distant. I opened the door. He looked up from his desk, and his expression shuddered immediately. Ella, I'm not here to make excuses. I set the second envelope on his desk. I just want you to know that I'm sorry. For using you, even if I didn't fully realize I was doing it. For not being honest. For being so consumed by my own pain that I hurt someone who never deserved it. He stared at the envelope, not touching it. Why now? Because I finally understand something. I met his eyes. You asked who the real Ella was, and I couldn't answer. But I'm figuring it out. And whoever she is, she needs to take responsibility for the damage she's caused. That's it. You apologize and everything is supposed to be fine. No. I shook my head. Nothing about this is fine. I don't expect your forgiveness, James. I don't expect anything. I just needed you to know that what you offered me, your friendship, your support, that was real to me. Even if I didn't handle it the right way. He was quiet for a long moment. Adam came to see me yesterday. My heart stopped. He did. He was angry. Hurt. Wanted to know if I was part of your revenge plan. James's jaw tightened. I told him I had no idea what you were doing. That I was as blindsided as he was. I'm sorry I put you in that position. Are you in love with him? The question came out raw. Still, I mean. After everything. I don't know. Maybe I never really was. Maybe I was in love with who I thought he could be. I wrapped my arms around myself. But that's not an excuse for what I did. To either of you. James stood, walked to the window overlooking the city. The thing that kills me is that I meant what I said at the gala. I have been in love with you for years. Real love, Ella. The kind that sees your flaws and stays anyway. I know. My voice broke. And you deserved so much better than what I gave you. He turned back to me, and something in his expression softened. Read my letter. When you're ready. No pressure, no expectations. Just read it. I nodded and left, tears streaming down my face. That night, I sat in my apartment with both letters unopened in front of me. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus Chun, asking about a new project. Life was moving forward, with or without me. I opened James's letter first. Ella, I don't know if I can forgive you yet. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I need you to understand something. The woman I fell in love with wasn't the revenge-plotting strategist or the broken girl Adam left behind. It was the person who argued with me about ethics, who listened when I talked about my father's death, who made me laugh during the worst week of my life. That person is still in there. I have to believe that, or everything I felt was a lie too. I'm not saying we can go back. I'm not even sure we can go forward. But maybe someday we can find our way to honest. James. I pressed the letter to my chest, crying for all the potential I'd destroyed. Adam's letter sat unopened until dawn. When I finally read it, his words hit even harder. You wanted me to hurt the way you hurt. Congratulations. I do. But here's what I've realized in the past week. I deserved it. Everything you did to me, I earned. I was cruel, selfish, and blind. I took you for granted and threw you away. The difference is, you hurt me with intention. You planned it, executed it, and probably felt justified doing it. I hurt you through carelessness and cowardice. I'm not sure which is worse. I loved you, Ella. I still do. But I don't know if love is enough to fix what we've broken. Maybe some things are meant to stay broken. Adam. I sat there as the sun rose, holding both letters, feeling the weight of everything I'd destroyed. And then I did something I hadn't done in months. I called my therapist. Dr. Chun, it's Ella Martinez. I know it's been a while, but I need help. Real help. Not to plan revenge or transform myself. Just to figure out how to be a person again. I have an opening tomorrow at 3, she said warmly. I've been hoping you'd call. I hung up and looked around my apartment. At the expensive furniture, the designer clothes, the trappings of success. None of it meant anything if I was hollow inside. But maybe that was okay. Maybe being hollow meant there was room to fill myself back up. This time with truth instead of rage. This time with who I actually was instead of who I thought I needed to be. It wouldn't be easy. It wouldn't be quick. But for the first time since Adam broke my heart, I was ready to try. Healing isn't linear, friends. What's one thing you would tell Ella right now? Drop your wisdom in the comments. 3 months later, I stood outside the same art gallery where Adam and I had our first date. It was hosting a charity auction, and my company had donated a sponsorship package. I debated not attending, but Dr. Chun had been clear. Avoiding the past doesn't heal it. You look nervous, Riley said beside me. She'd insisted on coming as moral support. I am. What if they're both here? Then you handle it with the grace you've been working on. She squeezed my hand. You're not that person anymore, Ella. You're better. I wanted to believe her. The past 3 months had been the hardest of my life. Harder than the breakup. Harder than planning revenge. Therapy twice a week. Honest conversations with everyone I'd hurt. Building my business on genuine relationships instead of performance. I'd learned something crucial. Transformation built on pain doesn't last. But transformation built on truth? That changes everything. Inside, the gallery was packed. I immediately spotted James across the room, looking distinguished in a navy suit. Our eyes met, and he nodded, cordial, but not warm. We'd had coffee twice since my apology. Conversations that were careful, cautious, but real. The friendship was damaged, maybe permanently, but we were trying. Then I saw Adam. He stood by a painting, an abstract piece full of sharp edges and bleeding colors. He looked different, thinner, more tired. But there was something else too, something quieter. He saw me at the same moment. For a heartbeat, we just stared at each other across the crowded room. Then he walked toward me. Ella. His voice was careful, neutral. Adam. My heart was pounding. I didn't know you'd be here. My firm is one of the sponsors. He glanced at Riley. Riley. Good to see you. Adam. Riley's tone was protective but polite. An awkward silence stretched between us. Could we talk? Adam asked. Privately? I looked at Riley, who nodded. I'll be at the bar. Adam led me to a quieter corner, near a painting of a storm-tossed sea. Fitting. You look well, he said finally. So do you. It was a lie, but a kind one. No, I don't. He laughed without humor. I look like someone who hasn't slept properly in 3 months. But I'm working on it. Therapy. A lot of therapy. Me too. I know. James mentioned it. He studied my face. He also said you're genuinely trying to make amends. That you've been honest with him about everything. I'm trying. I don't know if it's enough, but I'm trying. Adam was quiet for a moment. I've spent 3 months being angry at you. Furious. I felt betrayed, used, humiliated. Everything you felt when I did it to you. I know. Let me finish. His voice was firm but not harsh. I was angry. But then my therapist asked me something. She asked if the pain you caused me gave me any insight into the pain I caused you. And the answer was yes. God, Ella, yes. Tears pricked my eyes. What I did to you is unconscionable, he continued. I didn't plan it like you did, but maybe that's worse. I hurt you through carelessness, through selfishness, through not giving a damn about anyone but myself. At least you hurt me with intention. At least you cared enough to plan it. That doesn't make it right. No, it doesn't. He stepped closer. But here's what I've realized. We both hurt each other. We both caused damage. And we can either spend the rest of our lives being angry about it, or we can try to understand why. What are you saying? I'm saying I forgive you. The words hung in the air between us. Not because what you did was okay, but because I finally understand why you did it, and because holding on to anger is destroying me. Adam, my voice broke. I'm not asking to get back together, he said quickly. I don't think that's what either of us needs. But maybe we can stop being enemies. Maybe we can just be two people who loved each other once and made mistakes. I nodded, tears streaming down my face now. I forgive you too. For what you did to me. For how you made me feel. I forgive you. We stood there, both crying, both grieving what we'd lost and what we'd destroyed. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't triumphant. It was just human. I need to tell you something, Adam said. The night I kissed Sophia at that gala, I was terrified. Of what? Of how much I needed you. You knew all my flaws, all my failures, and you loved me anyway. That kind of love is terrifying when you don't think you deserve it. He wiped his eyes. I sabotaged us because I was scared. And then I blamed you for being too good, too patient, too understanding. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I made myself too small for you, I said softly. I thought if I was less threatening, less ambitious, less myself, you'd love me more. But you can't love someone who disappears. No, he agreed. You can't. We stood in silence, the weight of 3 years and 6 months of pain finally acknowledged between us. I hope you find what you're looking for, Adam said finally. And I hope whoever ends up with you appreciates how extraordinary you are. Same to you. He started to leave, then turned back. For what it's worth. The woman you became, strong, confident, brilliant, she was there all along. You didn't create her for revenge. You just finally let her out. After he left, I stood there processing everything. Forgiveness. Closure. Not the dramatic, satisfying kind from movies. The messy, painful, real kind. How'd it go? Riley appeared at my elbow. Better than I expected. We forgave each other. Good. She handed me a glass of wine. Now you can actually move forward. Ella. I turned to find James standing there, looking uncertain. Could I steal you for a moment? He asked. Riley raised her eyebrows, but stepped away diplomatically. James led me to a bench near a painting of a sunrise. Beginning, not ending. I saw you talking to Adam, he said. We made peace. Real peace. Good. He turned to face me fully. I've been thinking about what you said. About not knowing who you were. About losing yourself in revenge. James, I know who you are, Ella. I've always known. His voice was intense, sincere. You're the woman who rebuilt herself from nothing. Who took responsibility for her mistakes. Who's been showing up to therapy, making amends, doing the hard work of becoming genuine. That's who I'm trying to be. No. He took my hand gently. That's who you are. The revenge was a detour. A painful, messy detour. But it doesn't define you. Where are you going with this? I'm saying I still love you. He squeezed my hand. Not the fantasy I built up. Not the broken girl or the revenge queen. The real you, flawed, fierce, fighting to be better. That's who I love. My breath caught. James, I don't know if I'm ready. I know. And that's okay. He smiled, sad but genuine. I'm not asking for an answer. I'm just asking permission to be patient. To be your friend while you figure out who you are. And if someday you discover there's room for more, I'll be here. That's not fair to you. Let me decide what's fair to me. He stood, pulling me up with him. Right now, I'm asking you to dance with me. As friends. No pressure, no expectations. Just two people who care about each other, trying to figure out this messy thing called life. I looked at this man, kind, patient, genuine James, and felt something warm bloom in my chest. Not the desperate love I'd had for Adam. Not the calculated manipulation of my revenge plot. Something quieter. Something real. Okay, I said. Let's dance. As we moved to the music, I caught my reflection in a window. The woman looking back wasn't the broken girl Adam destroyed. Wasn't the revenge-driven strategist I'd created. She was someone new. Someone honest. She was me. Finally, completely, messily me. And for the first time in over a year, that was enough. 6 months after the gallery, I stood in front of a room full of aspiring entrepreneurs at the Women's Business Conference. The topic, rebuilding after failure. They had no idea how personal this speech was. Failure doesn't always look like a business going under. I began, my voice steady. Sometimes it looks like losing yourself. Sometimes it looks like hurting the people you care about, because you're hurting. Sometimes it looks like revenge that destroys you more than it destroys them. I could see Riley in the third row, beaming with pride. Behind her, surprisingly, sat my mother and father. And in the back corner, trying to be inconspicuous, was James. I spent 6 months planning the perfect revenge against someone who broke my heart. I continued. I transformed myself, manipulated emotions, and executed my plan flawlessly. And you know what happened? The room was silent, everyone leaning forward. I won. I got exactly what I wanted. He fell in love with me again, just like I planned. And it felt hollow, empty, because revenge doesn't heal you. It just gives you something to do while you avoid healing. I clicked to the next slide. A photo of Meridian Strategy's newest office space. Real transformation isn't about becoming someone new to prove something to someone else. It's about becoming who you actually are when you strip away all the fear and pain and pretending. That's the business I built. That's the life I'm living now. And it's better than any revenge could ever be. The applause was thunderous. After my speech, I worked the room, exchanging business cards, answering questions. This was my world now, built on authenticity, not performance. That was incredible. James appeared at my elbow as the crowd thinned. You've come so far, Ella. We both have. It was true. Over the past 6 months, our friendship had slowly rebuilt itself. Different than before, but real. Thanks for coming. Wouldn't miss it. He paused. Are you free for dinner tonight? There's something I want to talk to you about. My heart skipped, but I kept my voice casual. Your place or mine? Actually, I was thinking that new Thai place on 5th. The one you mentioned last week. I smiled. He'd been listening. He always listened. 7 o'clock? Perfect. That evening, I stared at my closet, trying not to overthink it. It was just dinner with James. Dinner we'd had a dozen times over the past months as we rebuilt trust and friendship. Except this time felt different. Riley had called earlier, practically screaming about how this was clearly a date. I'd insisted it wasn't. But I'd also changed my outfit 3 times. You like him, I said to my reflection. It's okay to like him. The woman looking back at me was someone I recognized now. Not the girl Adam broke. Not the revenge-driven strategist. Just Ella, stronger, wiser, scarred but healing. I chose a simple burgundy dress and minimal jewelry. Authentic. Me. James was already at the restaurant when I arrived, and his face lit up when he saw me. You look beautiful, he said, standing to pull out my chair. You look pretty good yourself. We ordered, and the conversation flowed easily like it always did with James. Work stories, family updates, a debate about whether the ending of the movie we'd watched last week was brilliant or terrible. But after dessert arrived, James's expression turned serious. Ella, I need to tell you something. My stomach fluttered. Okay, I got an offer. Senior partner at a firm in Boston. It's an incredible opportunity, everything I've worked toward. He paused. But I'd have to move in 2 months. The news hit me harder than I expected. James, that's amazing. You should absolutely take it. That's the thing. He reached across the table, taking my hand. I don't want to take it unless I know where we stand. What do you mean? Ella, I've been patient. I've respected your need for space and time to heal. And I'd keep being patient forever if that's what you needed. His thumb traced circles on my hand. But this decision affects both of us. I need to know if there's a chance for us. A real chance. Not someday, not eventually. Now. My heart was racing. James, If you say you only see me as a friend, I'll accept that. I'll take the job, and we'll stay in touch, and I'll eventually move on. But if there's any part of you that thinks you could love me the way I love you, I need to know. Because I'm not leaving you unless I have to. I looked at this man who'd loved me through my worst, who'd seen me manipulate and scheme and break, and stayed anyway. Who'd been patient when I needed patience and honest when I needed truth. I'm scared, I admitted. What if I'm not ready? What if I hurt you again? We might hurt each other. That's what happens when you love someone. You give them the power to hurt you. He squeezed my hand. But Ella, I'd rather risk that with you than play it safe with anyone else. I don't know if I love you yet, I said honestly. But James, I want to. Every day, I want to a little more. When something good happens, you're the first person I want to call. When I'm struggling, you're who I trust. And when you said you might leave, my voice broke, and he moved his chair closer, wiping a tear from my cheek. When you said you might leave, I realized I don't want to figure out who I am without you. I want to figure out who we could be together. Yeah, his voice was hopeful, vulnerable. Yeah, I smiled through my tears. I'm not perfect, James. I'm still healing, still learning. But if you're willing to be patient a little longer, I love you, Ella Martinez. The real you. The messy, healing, brilliant you. He cupped my face gently. And I'll be as patient as you need. But I'd really like to kiss you now, if that's okay. I laughed, crying harder. It's more than okay. When his lips met mine, it felt nothing like kissing Adam. There was no desperation, no performance. Just warmth and promise, and the beginning of something real. So, he said when we finally pulled apart, should I turn down Boston? Absolutely not. I grinned. You're taking that job. And I'm coming with you. What? Ella, your business can operate from anywhere. I've been thinking about expanding anyway. I took his hand. Besides, maybe a fresh start is exactly what we both need. New city, new chapter, new us. Are you sure? I spent 6 months planning revenge. I think I can plan a future instead. I kissed him again. With you. If you'll have me. If I'll have you? He laughed. Ella, I've been waiting for you since the night we argued about corporate ethics. That was a good night. The best night. He pulled me close. Until tonight. 3 months later, I stood in our new apartment in Boston, surrounded by boxes and possibility. Riley had helped us move, and she was currently directing James and my dad on where to put the couch. My phone buzzed. A text from Adam. Heard you're moving to Boston. New adventure? Me. Something like that. Fresh start. Adam, you deserve it. Both of you do. There was a photo attached. Adam at a restaurant, smiling genuinely for the first time in any photo I'd seen of him in over a year. A woman sat across from him, laughing at something off camera. Adam. Her name is Claire. She's a teacher. She calls me on my bullshit. I think you'd like her. Me. I think I would too. Be good to her, Adam. Adam, planning on it. Be happy, Ella. Really happy. Me, I am. Finally. I set down my phone and looked around at my new life. James was laughing at something Dad said, his eyes crinkling in that way I'd come to love. Riley caught my eye and mouthed, "You good?" I nodded and she smiled. Meridian Strategy had 3 new clients in Boston already. My parents were visiting next month. And the woman in the mirror every morning was someone I genuinely liked. Hey! James appeared beside me, sliding an arm around my waist. What are you thinking about? How a year ago I was planning revenge. And now I'm here, planning a life. Any regrets? I thought about it honestly. The pain I'd caused. The time I'd wasted. The person I'd almost become. I regret hurting people, I said. But I don't regret the journey. It taught me who I am. And it led me here. To you. To this. To us, he corrected, kissing my temple. To us, I agreed. Riley cranked up the music, and suddenly we were all dancing in our half-unpacked living room. My family, my love, my fresh start. I'd set out to destroy Adam. Instead, I destroyed the parts of myself that needed to go. The fear, the smallness, the belief that I needed someone else to complete me. Revenge hadn't healed me. Truth had. Love hadn't saved me. I'd saved myself. But choosing to love again, choosing to trust again, choosing to build something real with someone who saw and accepted all of me. That was the victory. Not over Adam. Over the girl who thought she needed revenge to feel whole. She was gone now. And in her place was a woman who knew her worth, who chose her own path, who loved without losing herself. I caught my reflection in the window, dancing, laughing, surrounded by love, and I barely recognized her. But this time in the best possible way. This was Ella Martinez. Not perfect, not polished, just real. And real was more than enough. It was everything. And that's where our story ends, beautiful people. Ella didn't get revenge. She got something better. She got herself back. What's your biggest takeaway from this journey? Drop it in the comments below. And if this story touched you, hit that subscribe button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, healing isn't about destroying those who hurt you. It's about building a life so beautiful, you forget you ever wanted revenge. Until next time, choose love. Choose growth. Choose you. Love. The end.